It's chilly.
That's an understatement.
Alright, we'll call to order the Economic Development Authority meeting, Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, 12 p.m. Roll call, David Paradise.
Kirby Moynihan.
Shannon Sweeney.
Jackie Hines.
Jessica Bigelow.
Sonia.
Jolene Foss.
Sonia Torville.
Alright, we get a approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Get a approval of the minutes from December 19th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. On to treasurer's report.
I just updated the cash balances for the funds for the Economic Development Authority Fund. That one is sitting at $255,255.02. The Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund hasn't changed. That one is at $257,754.78. No accounts payable this month. That's the treasurer.
Going on to the old business. So, first up is EDA member Matt Smith, obviously, no longer will be with us. I did reach out to Gabby Strode, who was here at our last meeting.
Sounded like she was maybe gonna come today, but I'm not sure if she.
Yeah, but she definitely is interested, definitely wants to, think it's a good fit to join this group, so I think we can hopefully, get her moved on and on board here. Have anybody else that they were courting at all?
I talked to the people at the bank. They put it out to all the, employees and the bank and heard nothing.
Okay.
So, and I've got a copy of the email and everything and from the bank manager and nothing.
Okay.
So I just asked for a motion, we're supposed to have a motion to remove him.
Okay.
Officially.
Well, I will make a motion to remove EDA member Matt Smith.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Second on the old business is the TIF request for JP Brooks.
As you recall, we were concluding our last discussion on this with JP Brooks representatives in the room, talking about a phased approach to a subsidy request. As you recall, they submitted an initial request for the entire project, which they're intending construction phases. And so we had discussed essentially negotiating something for a first phase, which is 36 lots. And I provided a letter to the EDA kind of summarizing those discussions that I've had since that meeting and the direction that we're looking for. Ultimately, in talking through the 36 lot, subsidy, I had run a TIF projection based on their original assumption of approximately 12 units per year being constructed, which would mean a build out within 3 years for the initial phase. Ultimately, they looked at the costs that they're going to be incurring in implementing that initial phase, which includes costs that will benefit other subsequent phases. So I think the point they were getting across is that it's more expensive on a per unit basis to implement phase one that will be 2 or 3 because some of the costs associated with accessing the property will be addressed.
Isn't that a fee or cost that they have to incur for any property that they were to build on and or purchase to build on?
All the costs are.
Yeah. And they're already getting this at $60,000? $75,000?
Sure.
And
If you don't want to create a TIF district, we can stop right now. I'm fine with that.
I don't mind the TIF district. The problem that I have is the reimbursement for all the stuff that they want to do out there, which are costs that they would incur anywhere else. And if that was privately owned land, it would sell for what, $60,000 a lot? And they're talking about, what, 120 lots out there? So-
174.
Okay, well, I
I,
think the original one out there was like 120 or something, but,
have
okay.
you
so-
received any proposals to buy that are better than this? I just wanna have a conversation, I'm not trying to be argumentative.
Well, I think we couldn't, we were capped at what we could sell it at for, right,
No,
as a city?
Yes, only what we put into it.
no. Ron, they wouldn't be capped on what they could sell this property for, would
They
they?
offered the 75,000.
That's,
Yeah, I'm not aware of the background of the deal fully, but
It was a tax forfeiture property.
Oh, it's tax forfeiture.
yeah.
that's what we've been told from the beginning, that because it was tax forfeiture, we're only allowed to get reimbursed for the money that we've put into that property, since assuming it.
Otherwise, there may be a delinquent tax bill that you'd be responsible for. That would be the only thing I could think of. To the other units of government, not yours.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of deed restrictions there were on the property, that's what you're talking about. I mean, there may well be something like that, but I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, that would be something the county would impose for letting a local unit of government take over a property midway through the tax forfeiture process, I suppose. We could certainly ask to confirm, but, what would you like to counter with before we proceed any further and spend dough on putting a TIF district together? Because this is a discussion we need to have before we proceed with the project, otherwise we're wasting time and money. And I'm happy to do that. I wanna understand what it is though.
I think to your point, I think we're kind of aligned here. I'd like to look at what exactly, they're looking for as far as where the dollars are going towards.
They've
You
indicated
know,
that,
I know like one of them I saw in there last time we talked was to furnish their model home. Absolutely not. Like,
no,
that was part of where they were looking for some of this help.
what they've indicated is that right now their development costs would mean that they would sell units at $290,000 a unit. They wanna be able to sell them at $250 a unit because they think that's what the market will accept. So that's $40,000 per unit, plus the cost of carrying those units, which turns into interest expense and all that kind of good stuff, is how they're backing into the number for the request. And so they're essentially saying we can't sell units for $290,000 in Montrose or have a confidence level that will encourage us to make this investment. And so that's what they're basing the request on. So they're getting a reimbursement of property taxes that will assist them in being able to sell these at a lower price than what it costs to build. And, again, we should invite it back and have a meeting, because ultimately we started a process to create a TIF district, and if we're not able to come to an agreement, we should determine that now rather than later.
I don't think that anybody will have an issue creating a TIF district. I think that it's just the reimbursement of it, because like I said, any other development that they were to go and purchase the land for, they would have had to pay all of those costs. And I get that it's tearing out some of the infrastructure and redoing it, but as far as that goes, I mean, you're talking what, $3 million basically.
$2,053,000 is the request.
So I meant that if they were to just buy the land for what it is and sell each individual lot, just the lots at $60,000, you're talking at, that's a little over $3 million just for selling the lots. And I understand there's a lot of infrastructure that's going to the beginning of it. I get that, but is this something that happens a lot, or is unusual for the city to reimburse, well over $2 million for them to come and build homes within their town, not just a TIF district?
In the current environment, we don't see people starting projects And this land has been vacant for a long time in its present condition. And, you know, there have been people that have made attempts to do something, but they failed. And so I would suggest if you're gonna develop it in its present plat, which is for townhouses, you know, his market analysis is probably as good information as we got to tell us that he's gotta be able to sell units for $250,000, otherwise he's not gonna proceed.
So I have a question, so there's so many years that are involved with this,
Yes.
and I don't remember the exact number,
Yeah.
but, so in, a question maybe more of a point too, is that Montrose is such a floating community, people float in, people float out. Once they sell this, all that, the TIF money's done, right? We don't,
It's reimbursed for a period of time that's negotiated. Right now, they're requesting 24 years of reimbursement assistance.
I'm not talking about the TIF reimbursements. They had mentioned reimbursement for the specific work that they're gonna do ahead of time. That is what was in their original letter, was it not? That they had requested that all of the work they do leading up to building, that they want a certain percentage of that reimbursed for, which, what David said, furnishing the model home, the reconstruction of sewer, water, boring under the road for, water connection.
Ultimately, all that has been discussed is a reimbursement of new property taxes associated with the units. Essentially, if they meet the income requirements on all of their housing units, essentially, you know, the whole project can be benefited, including all costs associated with the project, are eligible for reimbursement. They're investing far more than $2 million that they're requesting a reimbursement, because construction per unit is $290,000 per unit roughly. And, you know, hopefully they're trying to get a portion of that reimbursed over time. There's no upfront contribution to the project. All the city is pledging, if you decide to create this arrangement, is to reimburse new property taxes associated with new units that they have to construct. If they don't build any units that are income qualified, there won't be a tax increment generated, and you're not obligated to reimburse anything. So this isn't an arrangement where we're borrowing money or giving them cash. This is an arrangement where, if we choose to proceed, they build units, the people that live in those units pay property taxes to the county like everybody else. The county redirects that property tax as tax increment, and we're reimbursing most of it to the developer.
Yeah, and as far as just the TIF district goes, I mean, I'm in favor of that to help get this project.
That's all
up and
that's being
going.
discussed.
If it's just that part of it, I'm fine with it, but like I
That's all
mentioned,
that's
there's
being
something
discussed.
that they talked about in there about,
They didn't state it properly then, if you construed it in that manner, because all I've discussed with them is creating a tax increment district that captures new property taxes from eligible properties and provides for a reimbursement of that captured property tax for a period of time that's negotiated. No upfront cash, no borrowing money to assist the project. They're building everything. It's only if they sell lots to income qualified folks that build a house that pay property tax that is gonna be reimbursed. So what is the city foregoing? You're foregoing the benefit of the additional tax base that's created
correct.
for a lengthy period of time. That's all you're giving up. That's not all, I shouldn't say it in that manner, because it's a lot to give up, but that's what you're giving up. And if we're comfortable with that arrangement, that's what we're suggesting, that Ron begins drafting an agreement to put that in place. Because in March, when we have a public hearing on the creation of the TIF district, we'd like to have the authorization for execution of the development agreement so that they can get started if that's what we want right away. If we have any issues, we should resolve those now. We're early in the process, we can save lots of time and money by resolving problems today. So, and I'm happy to try to resolve those. I'm just trying to explain and make it clear what they're asking for.
What safety measures are gonna be in this for the city? Say they build the first 36 lots and they walk away. I mean, is there any way we can you know, well, you didn't finish the project based off of what we.
They'd still have to pay the taxes on the rest of the project though, correct? Cause that would not be,
Well, they wouldn't be reimbursed for anything other than what was negotiated in the first.
just the
phase.
homes that were built.
Yes. So we're, and we could, you know, Ron can comment, but obviously we can make it clear that the reimbursement is only from the initial 36 lots. And we can identify those lots and call that the development property. And the reimbursement is limited to that. So if they leave, another entity comes in and completes it, you know, that money isn't going to the initial develop JP Brooks. ultimately. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can make that clear too.
I'm fine with that then.
I just wanna make sure that we're doing everything we can to safeguard the city
Yeah,
from having to pay when projects aren't completed or
understood.
things aren't done the way we agreed to.
And that's standard format in the TIF agreement. You know, we could talk to Ron about our concerns, but I think he's heard them, and understands what we wanna protect ourselves against.
Yeah,
So,
has there been anything else that you guys would put in there to protection wise?
no, I think identifying the property that we're making the reimbursement from for this phase one is important. Identifying the costs that they're incurring specifically for reimbursement, the term and the amount.
You know, all those conditions and anything else we come up with become conditions preceding to issuance of the note. In other words, here's the laundry list of things the developer has to do. And until those are done, we don't issue the note. We issue the note at the end of all of that, after they've proved up their cost, after they, you know, have done everything. And then, you know, as Shannon says, we issue a note in the amount of X, and we only pay whatever increment comes in. So if they build fewer units or more slowly, then there's less input and there's less output, there's less increment that's available to them.
That's an excellent point, Ron. That the note, we execute a development agreement that says we'll execute a note if you do all of these things, but the actual note itself, which is the obligation to reimburse, doesn't get executed until they've completed those minimum improvements. All the infrastructure for phase one is installed to the satisfaction of the city, and they're ready to build houses.
That's all I have on that.
I was looking for, some action directing Ron to start the agreement, if that's what we care to do.
You want a motion on that then, Jess?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to direct, the city attorney to draft, an agreement for the TIF district with JP Brooks for the preserve housing development.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. New business, updates. Any?
Go ahead, Mary, do you have any updates, or do we want to talk about anything else?
Had the annual meeting, sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
members of the EDA. I have the annual meeting coming up this Friday. I think I talked to you guys about it last month, so we'd love for you to come register. It's a breakfast, it's free of charge, we have a keynote speaker, and we'll be giving away awards to Wright County businesses that we do annually. So please join us if you haven't already did. I think you were there last year maybe, or, yeah, so, I know you aren't going to be able to make it. But, if you guys can, that'd be great. I'd love for you to come. I got a flyer if you want one. Otherwise, it's just been the kind of starting the new year and usual, taking care of our important objects like workforce development. That is number one for economic development nowadays. And then, of course, retention, expansion, and recruitment.
Anything else for everybody? Alright, next meeting is, Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, 12 p.m. at Montrose City Hall. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Gabby came in, do we need to do something?
Sorry, I'm late. I haven't been that longer at the school. Sorry about
I
that.
don't think so, cause I think the city council has to appoint her, right?
Yeah.
Well, they can make a recommendation, it wasn't on the agenda, but talk about it under updates, if you want to comfortable with that.
To do that? Okay. So Gabby, here we talked about during the Matt Smith stuff, but I know you interested in joining on, so wanted to see what you two thought to get this group going again.
I think it's good. I think that what she does and for helping daycares and everything is something that is definitely well underrepresented in general.
So I guess, we need a motion to get a recommendation to have council approve. Alright, I will then make a motion, it's Strode, correct? I will make a recommendation to allow Gabby Strode to join the EDA as a member, with the approval from council.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Now we got a motion.
No, make a
Second. Sounded like.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a gavel.
He was gone a while ago. As soon as David said thanks, Ron, it was just click. I'm like, oh, cool. Now I get to stare at myself on the computer screen.
Oh, Shannon, for the public hearing, do I need to
So, well, if you have, you normally post them